So many people watching my videos are probably well aware of what a kitsune is. It's basically a magical fox spirit that is part of Japanese folklore. And what I want to do in today's brief video is not so much ponder whether or not the kitsune, the Japanese fox spirit, actually exists, because I'm pretty sure that based on the comments that I get on my other videos, most people automatically assume that they do exist. But what I really want to do is look at how much they've influenced Japanese culture and how much they've actually influenced my experiences that I've had in Japan. For instance, I lived in Tokyo 10 years ago. If you look back on my older videos, you'll see that I was living in Tokyo. Now, according to the animist religion of Shinto, the kitsune is a dual spirit. Basically, it is Zenko, which is to say that it's benevolent and it's kind and it's very honorable. And on the other hand, it's also Yako, which means it's sly, cunning, manipulative, and so on. And I guess like a lot of the religions and philosophies in that part of the world, they believe in the idea that people are dualistic in nature. There's a good side and a bad side. Whether or not you want to agree with that is up to you, but that's basically what it's saying. And I guess what's happened over time is that kitsune have somewhat developed a bit of a reputation for being, spiritual protectors on one hand, and also being conniving and deceiving on the other hand. Which goes to show how Japanese people don't put all of their trust, obviously, in these magical fox spirits. Like, they might be protecting your shrine, they may be responsible for a very plentiful rice harvest one year, but then the next year they're like seducing you and making you destroy your family because they're, becoming beautiful women and they're luring you away from your family. And I guess the role of these kitsune can be seen when you visit different shrines in Japan, like you see these inari shrines, we've got these foxes outside, and I think that's a way to sort of show their positive influence on Japan, or at least what they think is positive. But then on the other hand, you've got these old folk stories like Tamamo no Mae, which is about a kitsune who somehow manages to infiltrate the imperial Japanese court and cause chaos, which I think is pretty cool and anti-establishment. But I guess it just goes to show that you can't always trust magical fox spirits for everything. You can't go and say, oh, okay, they're protecting our shrines, they're helping us get good rice harvest, we're going to put all of our faith in them. Now, obviously, as someone living in Australia who was brought up as a Catholic, I'm not actually that knowledgeable when it comes to the Japanese Shinto faith and whether or not to believe in all of these different animal spirits. I kind of think they're cool, but on the other hand, I'm not like a lot of Western people who are Christian but watch a lot of anime and therefore, without realizing it, have actually become Shinto. They're actually worshipping Shinto ideas through their worshipping of anime. But I'm not someone who's done that. What I have done is I have lived in Japan, and I have come across a lot of, I guess, beautiful women, you might call them, who some people would say were being fox-like, and I'm not someone who thinks that they were being sly or cunning. There's actually a Japanese phrase which goes "ona wa kawaii," which just means women are scary, and people just go and say that like it's a normal thing to say. And I think the reason people get a bit afraid of women in Japan, and a lot of Japanese men obviously are terrified of women, although to be fair, Australians like myself are probably even worse in that regard. But it does make you wonder whether in Japanese culture, a lot of people are nervous that beautiful Japanese women, and there's a lot of them, are they actually just foxes in disguise, and once you call out the fact that they're a fox, they just vanish all of a sudden. And there was a term that I used to use with my friend when I was living in Tokyo. He used to talk about Japanese evasion, where you would just get all these messages constantly from someone who was a Japanese woman, and then if you ever dared reply to them, they would not reply to you for another year, because in that year they've basically turned back to a fox or something like that. I mean, you might want to joke and say that's what was going on. We didn't make that joke. Like, you'd meet these girls online who wanted to practice their English on you, because maybe they'd lived in Australia for a while and then they've been living in Tokyo and they miss Australia, and then they go and say, oh, let's go and do nomi hodai, which is basically all you can drink. And I was like, oh, okay, I'd never heard of that before. And we did a 2-hour drinking session, but she wanted to do an all-night drinking session, which I said no to, and very wisely as well, because I thought she might be some sort of a fox, which again could have been cool, but I just didn't want to take that risk, I guess. I was very new to Japan at this point. I used to have this girl who lived in my guest house who was very tricky in many ways. I remember she used to, I think it was 3 a.m, I'd go in the stairwell and I'd go down to the showers where I was living in Tokyo. Because I used to be this hikikomori type. I used to just hide away in my room in my guest house in Tokyo. At least for the first month, I was a bit like that. And so I used to sneak down to use the shower at like 3 a.m. because, no one would see you. But then this girl moved in, and she was from a different part of Japan. She was a bit countryside, a bit inaka, as they call them. And she asked me in Japanese if I want to shower with her, which I guess I thought it was a joke. But then we went down to the showers and she was trying to get me to go into the shower with her. And I didn't really know this girl, so I just went into my own shower and she frowned at me. And her actual expression looked very foxy when she frowned at me. I don't know if you've ever noticed this with a certain type of... Anyway, I'm going into a bit of a weird territory here. But I still wonder if there was that influence of the Kitsune in her. You know, these things still impact you whether you like it or not. Like the stories that we tell each other that get passed down through the centuries. And in Japan's case, they get these fox spirit stories. They actually come from China. You know, if you actually go back in time, you know, even in Korean folklore and old Chinese folklore, you've got the same characters emerging, and they've obviously found their way from China to Japan. And so what it makes me really reflect on is just what makes the Kitsune influenced cultures today different to the non-Kitsune influenced cultures like Australia, where we really don't have that sort of mythology. And so basically, I just want to put it to you, if you've been to Japan and if you've noticed the influence of Kitsune on different people. Obviously, it's only sprinkled over the population, so it's only now and again you might feel that someone is a shape-shifting magical fox spirit who is disguising themselves as a beautiful woman or something like that. And also let me know in the comments if you think there's any connection between, I guess, Kitsune and Japanese magical fox spirits and furries, people who dress up as furries here in the West. I'm sure it's not actually a direct connection, but I have heard of furries who are very well versed in what a Kitsune is. But let me know if you've got any thoughts at all about Kitsune, if you've met them, if you think they're real or not. And yeah, that's basically it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you next time.